present. Mr. Chairman, you're live.
Okay. Is there any public comment on any subject that is not on the agenda that the board has jurisdiction over? Seeing none, we'll move on. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes, the financial report?
I have one correction.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
If I remember correctly, there was something about moving or notifying the aircraft on the runway, and it should read ramp.
Okay, where is that?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's under Robert Pecca and Associates. Both planes on the runway need to be notified.
Okay, on the ramp.
That should be ramp.
Thank you.
Yep.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I did check on Jess did not accept that one claim, and I did check on that 1099 claim. It is stated in the minutes, and it was already paid. It just got crossed in the mail, so there needs to be no correction on that. It's just that that's what happened.
Okay. Been taken care of. All right. Update from Robert Pesce and Associates. Lance?
For the record, Lance Bowser, Robert Pesce and Associates. So I don't have any specific action items other than to discuss upcoming project and then public outreach, which I know is on a separate agenda, so I don't mind if people ask questions during my presentation or during the separate agenda item to discuss this. But ongoings with the projects, we are still waiting on the bipartisan infrastructure law grant to come through. There's really no hang-ups. We've been seeing grants come through, so that the most recent presidential initiatives haven't been changing those grants, maybe delaying them slightly, but we have been seeing those grants, so I do anticipate that at any time. Those bipartisan infrastructure law grants have already been funded, so we've seen those come out. I've seen probably 3 so far this federal fiscal year already here in the past month. So we're waiting on that. That grant was the grant for the apron expansion. Mm-hmm. So the runway, the apron, and the taxi lane expansion, that grant's already in place. The bipartisan infrastructure law grant was specific for the apron expansion, and that's a 95-5 grant this year, where the other grant was 90-10. So you'll notice that in the funding, in the public outreach, which I have on the second page there, it says like 90.3% federal funding in that. That's the reason why the oddball 0.3, because the smaller apron expansion grant was 95.5, and then the larger grant was 90.10. So that's the reason that 90.3 is in fact accurate. It's just an oddball number. Yep. So we're still waiting on that. And then overall, we have met with the contractor several times recently. We will be meeting with them again. So I will talk about the schedule kind of in combination with this. But the overall contract was a 90 calendar day contract. That includes all wrap-up items, final seating, final paint application, a month after we're done paving. So we would reopen, and then they'll have like a week's worth of effort that we may have short-term closures on. At the end of the year or in the fall when we seed. But 90 calendar day contract, we listed a substantial completion deadline of October 1st. If you recall, when we bid this project, we left it as open-ended as possible to try and get the bids as low as possible. So that was the way it got bid and contracted. Obviously, the contractor, as we've discussed previously, they want to start as soon as they can. So they want to start realistically in Montana. April 1st is always a big if. Looking outside today, I think that would be extremely optimistic to think that we could start April 1st.
I think you're correct.
The contractor, last year we started in Dillon April 15th. Not a problem. We were rocking April 15th or 16th or whatever it was, whatever that Monday was. The year prior, we were barely going May 15th. By the time we got moving with construction, it was just a totally different winter. Frost itself doesn't prevent, starting, but deep frost will. We can't have deep frost. If it's just a layer, they'll dig right through it. If it's deep frost and we're getting significant overnight freezing temperatures, they're not going to want to start. The second thing that's going to hold up the project potentially is gravel crushing. They want to crush at least 3/4 of the gravel and have it sitting on the ground adjacent to the airport before we close down.
And we need thawing weather before we can crush.
So they can crush in freezing weather. We can't crush in 20 below.
No.
So it needs to get warmer, and they need about 4 weeks of good crushing. They want 6 weeks to crush everything, but they think if they had a 4-week start on it, they'd have 3/4 of it sitting here. Then they could continue to crush while we close down the runway and finish it out. But they want at least 4 weeks in advance. They'd really like 6 weeks in advance, which would basically mean they need to start crushing right now in order to hit the April 15th. I guess I say scheduled start date, but that might be the optimistic start date.
We'll see.
So if we get temperatures of 35 above, just dipping down to 20, no problem. They'll be able to start crushing. If we're getting 20 is a high and 0 is a low, that's still too cold. They can't get everything heated up, and by the time they'd get the plant all heated up and running, they'd have 2 hours of crushing before they'd shut back down for the night. So it's just not realistic. So I just wanted to provide that update. And then on this back sheet here that I have is kind of a public outreach. I wanted to discuss just public outreach. Again, kind of that central column there, April 14th, 2025, weather dependent. We kind of wordsmith this in our office a little bit on that where it says scheduled closing date. If we wanted to say estimated closing date, anticipated closing date, as well as the scheduled opening date, anticipated opening date, estimated opening date. You take your pick. The intent is this is the goal of the contractor as well as us, and it really would impact the airport less and the users less. I know that, but looking at the weather, it's going to have to change in a quick hurry in order for this to become realistic.
Yep.
So, like I said, last year we started at April 15th or mid-April, no problem in Dillon. The year prior, we couldn't have started that early. We didn't start that early with any projects, not any paving projects.
Let me ask you a question on the gravel crushing. Have they said anything about if we get a week's worth of good weather and then it gets cold, they could go ahead and shut down for that part, and then they'll come back and pick it up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
all
this
you
is
can
their
expect.
first project that the benefit of the late winter. They were still working on other projects into December, so they actually finished all their projects that they were, I think for the most part anyways, all their projects that they were working on that would have somewhat conflicted with them trying to wrap that up, and so they're like, we're ready to get going. Like our crews, this is our first project for the year. We got it scheduled as soon as we can get going. The guys want to get going.
Yep.
So they're ready
understandable.
to get moving, and they can crush for a week at a time. It'll take them a couple days to get dialed in, and then as soon as they're dialed in, they're going to start trucking. The other thing is they need to have decent roads. The roads were fine today. They could have been trucking today, but they won't truck on sheer snowpack with loaded semis. They just won't do it. It's just not worth the risk for them. So I know they do it all the time, but they won't do it for this project specifically with all the loads that they're hauling. So this public outreach, I'd take any comments that you want to see, and then I'd like the board to discuss what we do with this as far as how we get this out. We can do a big poster, like banner, as you enter the airport, print it, put it on some, posts and have it there at the beginning entry to the airport. We can post them on hangers. We can do an email. Obviously, Aubrey, I'd be looking to her to help with the email. You also, this is eligible for, public outreach and advertising is eligible to, put something like this in your local newspaper. And I'd just facilitate that. That way the costs come back to me and I can get reimbursed or get you all reimbursed for that public outreach for
I think that needs to be
advertisements.
done, and besides that, we probably need to personally notify each hangar owner and so on, anybody that has an aircraft based on the field.
So you'd like a newspaper ad?
Yes.
I think that would be best.
Email
That'd be fine.
to hangar owners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
And then
know
that
if a
can-
letter in the mail might also be pertinent. Just for the hangar owners.
And I would also say, you know, post it at the fuel dock and the pilot lounge.
You want like a banner type poster at the entry, or just
Doesn't
like
have
the
to be
pilot
anything
lounge?
fancy, you know, just something we just put there that's obvious. that-
Some sort of a sign that notifies
Yeah.
whether it's transient traffic or it's local traffic that this will be shut down approximately the 15th of April.
You just want you want it posted on the pilot's lounge?
Mhm.
Well, as
Both the
long as
fuel
they can see
tank
it
and-
from the fuel island.
I would say both.
Yeah.
The pilot lounge and the fuel tank.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't go to the pilot's lounge, they just stop and fuel.
Mhm.
Okay. And then the last thing that I'll offer, when you guys, do you have any comments on scheduled versus anticipated, estimated? I mean,
have
scheduled, it says weather dependent. It's just the intent of trying to make this clear to anybody that this is our scheduled, you know, it's weather dependent.
I like.
Nobody has the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You liked other information on here? I wanted to show that the $0 local share. The reality is you might have $2 as we round down to the nearest federal whole dollar. So you could have $1.98, but I didn't want to put that in the in the flyer.
I think maybe we
so
better hold our comment for a while.
I didn't want to put $2. So you could have $2 or $1.98 at most, but. And then the information, you know, a lot of people are like, well, why can't we get funding for my roadway? Well, this is aviation fuel tax. I mean, that's what both programs, both grant funding programs. So getting that information.
That
out
also
there.
comes from every part we buy for an airplane.
What's that?
That also comes from every part we buy for an airplane, whether it's tires, landing lights, whatever.
Yep.
Everything has its
Mhm.
donation coming in.
Yep. They have
Yep.
aviation fuel tax is the large one, but they have passenger facility charges, similar aviation related charges that go back into that AIP program.
That's true.
Same thing. The aeronautics money is just aviation fuel tax.
Right.
So.
Mhm.
So, okay, we will do that. The last thing I'd offer up, particularly for the public and guests here today, is that we do throughout construction we do weekly construction reports. They follow an FAA format, so there's a little bit that goes into them that is hard for the general user to want to read, but it basically shows each bid item, estimated percentage of completion. So it's a couple pages, and then there's 3 or 4 paragraphs about the work that was completed, the anticipated work for the next week, and any problem areas, materials testing, etc. They're kind of a little bit much, but at the same token, they do provide the information. We also tend to attach 3 or 4 photos with each weekly report, and then we submit them. Once we generate the email list, we just send that out every week. So the board will get it, obviously, the county commissioners will get it, but I can add, the contractor will get it as well as the FAA, but we can add anybody that has interest in receiving those. So if they just let us know, we can add them, and then they'll just get a weekly, typically they go out within 2 days of the following week. We send those out with just general status, and then at the last thing within there's a problem area section or anything else. So if they're falling behind schedule, we start, they submit us a schedule, and heck, if they're more than a day behind schedule after even 2 weeks, we start noting that they're behind schedule. These are the action items that they're going to try and implement to catch on their schedule. So that goes out every week. If people want that, they just need to get a hold of me.
I would say, why don't we include the hangar owners? And Isaac, you want to be on that list?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So, make sure you get that so you know what's going on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else any questions for me?
I don't have any.
This looks great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh,
For you.
Oh, up to the mic.
You gotta follow your own rules, right?
Clay Thompson, Airport Manager. I just had a question for Lance as far as the fair board and moving that fence. What would be one of the first things they're going to do? You know, because they do drop off livestock out there, and what's the word on that?
Yeah. So I haven't coordinated with the contractor yet to determine where they want to stockpile gravel. So I will do that. It makes the most sense in that area to me.
That's what I thought.
So I'd like them to move that fence. I have discussed that with them, but they haven't given me their final decision on whether or not that's where they want to stockpile it. They have a couple of areas they could stockpile. I talked to them about even moving the fences on the 2 corner parcels that were acquired, and because we were going to move that fence as well. One of them were actually the one that has the equipment in it. We were just going to put 2 fences up, so that eventually, because I think that got leased out back to them for their use until it was needed by the airport. But then we don't have to put a new fence up in the future. We'll just put a gate, and then we can just tear their fence down in the future, and it'll become part of the airport. If we've got a fencer here, we might as well take advantage of that to put the new fence up on that corner parcel. So I talked to them about those locations as well. So I'll get back to you on that. Good question, though.
any other questions for Lance? Thank you. Consumer Price Index.
Oh, I think you gotta. Okay.
Or the 625 thing, huh?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, we wanted to discuss the Consumer Price Index. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rob.
excuse me. One other issue that we have here on the agenda is discussion of public comment on Townsend Airport expansion from stakeholders. So I think that, Isaac, if you want to.
Okay, I thought that was under the same thing, but, excuse me.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us, and thanks to all the growers that showed up as well. Our service is important to them, and we just want to work with you guys as much as we can to find solutions that works for everyone. And thanks to Mr. Bowser as well. He's been super informational, talking to me offline. Just not going to be too long. I didn't have anything prepared, but we just kind of are here to encourage as much as possible. And Mr. Bowser has a huge, great plan going forward as far as trying to pre-position resources and make sure that, obviously we have to wait for the thaw and everything else, but whatever we can control. And I guess, can I have a quick question real quick, actually? Just out of curiosity, sir, are you guys planning on crushing this coming week, just based on the temperature, or?
Yeah, so they did indicate that they wanted to start potentially. I met with them a week and a half ago, and it was supposed to warm up this last week, and didn't. And so they were he was talking about crushing this last week. I haven't talked to him yet this week, but I assume the answer is yes, because he was wanting to get going crushing as soon as possible. So I'll touch base with him again tomorrow, and I can start sending out information, especially after we meet with him again. This email list that we generate for the weekly updates and the weekly construction updates, I can start sending some just generic, or not generic, but general information as far as schedule changes, etc. Just
Gotcha.
updated closure time frames. If we aren't going to hit this April 14th, I can start distributing that information as I receive it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And obviously, the forecast is, anyone's guess. So
Lance, while you're up, I was just thinking, even like next week, that's not fencing weather, really. It's going to be a little tough drilling holes.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and stockpile gravel right there. The fence can be moved at a later date, but that won't hurt anything to stockpile the gravel there, I don't think, at all.
Sure. Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They and they don't need to immediately start trucking, but they don't want all the gravel sitting in their pit, and then they have
Oh.
issues, trucking issues, because they need those same trucks here at the site
I understand.
when we're taking the asphalt millings off and everything else, so they don't have endless truck drivers, so they want the bulk of it here. The other thing I forgot to mention is they did offer to work with the county on millings placement for the access road when we mill off the asphalt. So they did offer that they would even lay it down. So I will reach out to the county and TJ directly to try and see if that will assist them. So I'll be reaching out to him, TJ on that.
Good, good.
Thank you, sir. And so that was kind of just our point is, and obviously your main contractor is subbing out a lot of the work too. And so my only other thought with that is that, especially the last few years, whether it's conduit, wire, whatever parts or supplies are needed, the main contractor might have everything well in hand, but hopefully they're working with their subs as well, just because, hey, we had all our supplies, but our electrical guy or whatever the case may be, our dirt work, subcontractor, if they're waiting on something, then it could potentially, then it doesn't matter who's waiting on what if it's getting slowed down, if that makes sense. That was just a thought. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I had. And obviously Mr. Bowes is doing a fantastic job with it and stuff. And, we're just here to hopefully the weather breaks is, I guess, the main thing that everyone's hoping for. So that's pretty much all I had. If any growers have any other comments beyond that.
Isaac, can you
yeah.
say your name again? Sorry.
Oh,
Can you just say
yeah.
your name and who you are?
Yeah, Isaac Zimmerman, Headwater Flying Service out of Three Forks. So
Thank
sorry
you.
about that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I'll touch base on the submittals and materials and some of the subcontractors as well. So they're going to do the crushing for the asphalt paving as well. It'll come out of the crushing will come out of that pit, but Helena Sand is their subcontractor. They are in the loop as far as they're going to truck that asphalt from Helena, and they had no concerns over a June trucking time frame with getting the asphalt here as far as getting temperature, keeping it here. They had no concerns with that whatsoever. It actually fits their schedule really well, so they were excited to get the prime contractor Bullock going on the project. Sometimes it's hard to find early paving projects that are ready to immediately pave, because everybody tries in Montana, everybody tries to complete the paving prior to the fall, so you end up with this backloaded construction season. So even for us, having a project that we can get going on earlier spreads some of that work out, because otherwise we're running like crazy at the tail end of the season, and that just seems to be the way it always occurs. The other primary materials, electrical, we've already received the bulk of the electrical submittals, so they've already ordered all that material. And South Hills out of I guess it's East Helena, but Helena area is the contractor that's doing electrical work. They do a lot of airport electrical work. We work with them nearly every year, so they're very good. I don't see any concerns with them whatsoever, and they're located in Helena. So we've gotten probably 3/4 of the material submittals already approved, which means as soon as they approve them, we approve them, they order them, and then they're technically eligible for materials in stockpile. If they order them and get them on site or in an approved location, we can actually pay for those in advance. So it encourages them to get the materials here on time and be ready for it. So
Great.
just wanted to touch on that. So thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any additional comment,
You have more comments?
sir?
Taylor Kim with Kim Brothers Farming, and I guess, I don't know, this might sound kind of selfish, but is there, in the scheduling of how the project goes, is there a way to get the runway or whatever ready for the spray planes to be able to use it? I mean, we really rely on them heavily in the summer with our crops, and so I guess being shut down, this is going to put them in a bind, not being able to use the airport. So I guess if there's, I'm wondering if there's any way or something to look at anyway, a way to get the spray planes able to use the airport.
That depends on weather, that depends on the contractor, or what point he is. It depends on your fields when they're ready and that, you know, I don't think anybody at this time can say, yes,
Yeah.
we can do this at this time.
Okay. Well,
But-
yeah.
We do have another airport, it would require holding down on the loads of spray, I'm sure. But 8U8 could be used, 8U9, I mean, could be used.
You talking
Yeah.
about Canyon Ferry?
Yeah.
Canyon
Mhm.
Ferry,
It-
if you're right here in close vicinity.
Yeah, we've looked at that before, and for the equipment we're running now, we used to run smaller aircraft. For the equipment we're running now, especially based on the turbines, we'd really rather not. It's gonna tear up our equipment. We have a ton of experience running that stuff off of unprepared, and it's all the more expensive with the bigger airplanes. So we 100% looked at it. Essentially, long story short, unless something pretty drastic changes, if we had to fly when Townsend was down, it almost certainly out of Three Forks. So, and we looked at White
I'm
Sulphur,
thinking
and we
Three
looked
Forks
at
would be,
Helena, and
Three Forks would be a quicker turnaround than Helena.
exactly.
You're out of the air traffic control system.
When is it that you start spraying? Like, when does
Can you
So
come to the
do-
mic, Isaac? Sorry,
Oh,
I hate to keep
Sorry.
bugging you about that.
Yeah, Isaac Zimmerman, Headwaters Flying Service. As far as when we start, just like they were talking about, it's dependent on the weather every year and stuff like that. As far as general timeline, we're not up in Townsend a ton until kind of the middle of June is generally our timeline, to the end of June. And so that's why we're super interested in what the proposed timeline is. And I understand that the contracted timeline, like if stuff goes right, they may be done significantly quicker than that, which is what we're cheering for sure. You know what I mean? And I can say for Dylan, what were you guys like, maybe 1 day late or something like that? I
that
mean,
was my
that's-
next question to Lance, was going to be, like, how often do your projects end up going late, or, you know, sticking to a 90-day contract? I mean, obviously we all know weather is the wild card, but, you know, do they usually stick less than 90 days? Are they right at the 90-day? Do they go over?
Yeah, so the 90 days includes all the final seeding, painting, etc., that will occur after we reopen. So because we reopen and then we'll pick days that are least impactful. So they'll come down and do final painting, but it'll be 2 days. We'll pick the middle of the week. They'll come down and complete the final painting. It'll probably only be a day and a half, in truth. A lot of times we can work around aircraft. If they're going to be in here, we'll work on the apron for the half day, let them work, and then we'll close down the runway and try and knock out the runway paint. So that includes that. The contractor's real goal is 60 days. So their real goal is to open June 15th. We wanted to complete it originally in advance of the 4th of July, so that was the schedule, but their goal is they want 60 days. His statement to me was, if we go beyond 60 days, we're probably losing money. So we really need to get it done. So it is in everybody's best interest. There's other reasons for wanting to, if we push too far into, even beyond 1st of June, you start getting into rainy season, and that tends to slow things down. So they want to get it done fast. It's the most productive time for them to get it done early. So that's their real goal. As far as percentage time, we're usually pretty well on schedule. We talk with contractors when we're bidding this as far as establishing the working time frames and durations to make sure that we're not setting anything that's too restrictive or too open, because we don't want people out there just building it with 2 people while we have 2 inspectors watching them build it. So we do work with that.
When we have construction weather, we need the crew.
Yeah, I think Dylan, we worked until it was dark. I think we worked until 11 o'clock the night that it was supposed to open, and they opened up
Oh my gosh.
that night at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
So
that was incredible.
they were trying to get it done. Obviously, this is a different contractor, but we kind of run into the same thing. These contractors work across Montana all the time. When we want the runways reopened, they want to get them reopened. So that's their goal. But his quote to me, which I liked, was, if it goes beyond 60 days, I'm probably losing money. So I want it done. So that's the real goal, is that June 15th, which I know would work better with Headwaters, typical season, which of course can be variable in itself. But that would be our goal as well.
Sure.
And as far as the runway, they're going to pave everything all at once they mob the paving equipment down here. So, if we're paving an airport with 2 runways, we will try and open one a week early, and then pave the extents of the other one that's outside the safety area of the one. In Dillon, they have a crosswind runway. We tried to keep it open for a period, but we blew up the intersection and didn't really work. So, but a lot of times you do try and work on the 2 ends, etc. Try and get one opened. Realistically, for Townsend, we could open a day earlier on the runway, but it's really just not worth it. And then we've got a bunch of equipment in there, so it's not really feasible for this particular airport in this application with them. They'll mob their paving equipment in, and they're going to pave apron the one day following the runway. So otherwise it would work out. It's just for this airport and this amount of paving, that one day we won't reopen the runway just for the one day of savings. So,
I just had one other follow-on, if you wouldn't mind, just real quick, sir. And my understanding of, just from talking to you offline as well, is if the stars align, they can get in there earlier. So in other words, is it moving heaven and earth if for some reason they can start on the 7th of April to close the airport earlier to allow them to do that, or is that is the airport closure kind of setting the schedule as the earliest possible they can get in there?
Yeah, no, they would like to start as early as possible. So as I mentioned, they need 6 weeks of crushing. So if they were able to start this week and crush through, they potentially could start as early as April 1st. I don't foresee that occurring, which is the reason why we stuck with the April 14th scheduled date. But if the stars did align, they want to start earlier. So okay. If they could crush straight through, get 6 weeks of crushing in, they'd want to start. At that point in time, we would change the flyer at least 2 weeks in advance to give people notice. Talk with the board about setting a different date, sure. And then we'd try and get that information out to the users to try and close down earlier.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the thing that we may have going on is that everything's going to track together. So you're not going to be spraying, if we're not working on the runway. So I mean, right. It seems like the weather's going to be moving both of the things we're trying to get done.
For sure.
Probably in about the same time frame. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, warm weather.
Yeah.
Dwight Thompson, Airport Manager. Just to dovetail on Lance's, we do have the alternative runway that's not listed with the FAA out there. But I've had some questions and comments about having that runway available, and I've told them no. We start having aircraft coming in and out of there with construction going on. It's just going to be I think a mess.
I don't think it's viable.
Yeah, and I think Lance, the parking equipment maybe there was part of the thing too.
Well,
so
it's rougher than Canyon Ferry. You've got Canyon Ferry all smoothed out. So
yeah. So, but yeah, we're just gonna just close everything out there. So yeah, it's Montana. Ag state and nothing different between Townsend or any other place as far as. Winter months and highway construction or airport construction. So.
And we are still in the winter months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with planning, and at times it does work. So, anything more on that subject? If not, we'll move on to the Consumer Price Index and yearly lease amount. Rob, did you have something, or Seth, did you have something going along them lines? That must have been Adam.
No, I think Adam was working on that.
That's what I think. Okay, we'll put that off till next month. Review of the bylaws. Aubrey, did you have anything on that you wanted to bring up?
No, you were just, as a board, supposed to, we look at them again. I think I got everything on a double check to see if there's anything needed to be changed. You know, if you would like to table that for next time, that's all. But they're in your packet, so if you don't have anything to change, then you can go ahead and make a motion to approve them. It's up to you. Or just keep them the same, or
I think we can go ahead. I mean, they didn't look.
I went through them and I didn't see anything right there, but there's nothing wrong with putting it off till next month also. And that next one, the fuel system, I visited with him the other day, and he said, is it really realistic to come up there and look at your old fuel system when it's 20 below zero? I said, no. We're not that much in a hurry here. We would like to get the thing set up sometime so we maybe get it this summer, but we're not at the point that where it's a critical situation. So
Is that
we're
going
still
to
in
be
contact.
something that they're going to be able to look at when the construction is going on?
Oh, they'll still be able to look at it. Yeah. The fuel tank will be there, the
It's just the guts that need
dispensing
to be
pump,
replaced.
everything.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, are you also tabling the election of officers, weren't you, just for the record?
Yes.
Are you tabling, okay,
Yes,
Thank
with the regular chairman here, not here,
okay,
I think we need to do that.
all right, thank you.
Hangar lease requests.
I'm down to one. So the last one that was on the list, I emailed, never heard back from him yet. I will do a follow-up, and then we will be done. We will be through the whole list. So
Okay.
I just have that last one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Airport manager report. Dwight?
Again, Dwight Thompson, the airport manager. So, no news to anybody here that we've had some significant amount of snowfall. And over the last few years, Mother Nature has done a really good job helping us with snow removal with wind. We didn't have that this last weekend, and unfortunately the snow that we did get came on the weekend. The county guys were off, the holiday weekend and such. And the snowplow that we have available to us comes when they are not using it. They do take it down Three Forks for something just about every morning. So Chris had called me on. I'd actually gone skiing to whitefish and called me and said we got a lot of snow going on down here, and we made a decision to close the runway because there was just too much snow. I've spent the last 2 days trying to get snow off that area, and I'm just thinking about next year. We're going to have a bigger parking area, and I think it's probably time to really start looking at, the hand-me-down snowplow that we have. It just is not big enough to really do a job in a timely manner.
I think, didn't you visit with Helen on that?
Jeff, yes, yeah, we were on the list. So as I reported last month, or 2 months ago, I guess it was, is that was tied up with some federal money. And Lance, you probably answer that more how that goes.
It had to be donated back in because of
Yes,
the state.
yeah, they just can't give it to us, I guess, or something. You know how that works, Lance?
Yeah, so when you buy a snowplow with federal money, it comes with a 10-year grant assurance. So it must be younger, newer than 10 years.
It must be, yeah.
So after 10 years, they could get rid of it or sell it or whatever. You are eligible for, federal funding to acquire your own, but then you have to build a heated and insulated building as well. It'll quickly turn into $1 million project to acquire a snowplow, which you probably technically could reach in the near future, just because we didn't have to borrow out federal money wise for a bunch on this project. You actually have about $800,000 available going into next year, which is on, sorry, it's like this sheet here, color coded table there. I won't tell you what all those numbers are again, but at the top there, 2026, you have $800,000. That's federal money, so it would have to get matched. Next year's 95.5, but that's the same money that you'd be drawing fund for your other priority needs that we've discussed previously as far as land acquisition, AWAS weather station, etc. So all draws out of the same pool, but I'm sure they must be inside of their grant assurances and can't get rid of the equipment, so.
I see, Jeff, I didn't see him this last Wednesday night, but I do see him from time to time. I'll try and, before the next meeting, I'll try and touch bases with him and see if he has a reasonable date about when that may come available.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be down the road a little bit. I think I think it must be a newer ones that he has. Yeah, and so they probably have to keep them for a few years. The county just picked up 2 snowplows from the city of Helena for $50,000. I don't know if you saw that in the paper or not, but so that might help us out a little bit. I don't know.
If Helena Jeff Wade Camper is looking to get rid of some, I looked into this at another airport that has multiple general aviation airports, and they essentially wanted to get a larger truck for one of their larger airports and pass down their pickup plow to a smaller airport. But and they said that we could do it, and I don't remember what it was still under 10 years, so they had some requirements as to how we were going to gift that to another federally obligated airport. And I can't remember that, but I don't know how that would transfer from a primary to a non-primary airport. That might throw another wrinkle in it, especially if they got it funded with any sort of primary.
If there's any
dollars.
ADAP funds, you still have the building, the heated building, insulated.
Yeah.
You're still there, still right there, and you're limited to equipment built in the USA also. 100%.
So, that's been the news here the last few days, just so reasonable. I did attend the aeronautics grant proposal, and we did put in for some runway material for 8U9 for Canyon Ferry. Last year, they had more money than what they had requests for. So on our application this year, we didn't know what their request would be, and so we asked for the total funding come from aeronautics. Turned out that they had a lot more requests than what they had money. Lance and I had a discussion prior to the meeting, and we really didn't have a plan B as far as the county coming up with some funds to show that we were in this, and so they were doing some trimming. We just thought it was best to back out, and that's what we did. I think we saved face, and it's hard to ask aeronautics to give 100% when we can't do the same, and so we'll try again for next year. I think I think the list was a high priority, but and that's what they were looking at was runway surface projects and things. But I think they may have been asking for 50% or some other type of money.
They're trying to spread their money out also.
Yeah. So we'll work on that. Also waiting for snow to disappear. We're going to put in some tie downs out there, as I've been reporting. We got all the material, and so we'll put in some additional tie downs out at Canyon Ferry. And I guess that's about it. Any questions?
The removal looks good. I was just out there today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Did you see me stuck?
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's the first thing to do when you're stuck, is you look around and see who's watching
Who
you.
sees me?
Okay, discuss the fuel pricing. I seen that yesterday, I believe it was, 10,000, which I don't think we can take 10,000 gallons, but it was down to 429. So, I don't know. Have you been keeping track of that over there at all, Dwight?
Dwight Thompson. I sent the numbers to Adam, and I think his concern is with the airport being closed, we didn't want to have a bunch of fuel sitting there, and I think he was watching the number come down, and then also gas has been going up in town, so are we gonna be seeing kind of a yo-yo effect with that hitting us? And, my feeling from Adam was to hold it for a month here and see where.
I think we need to hold off till maybe after the construction is partway through. You know, we might get in there a couple weeks before the airport opens. But
Yeah, last month,
we're still under that 90-day or that 9-month deal.
last month it was we're right on track to be about needing fuel when the project begins. So we wouldn't be setting on 3 months or 6 months or 2 months of
We can add some
thing.
additional fuel to it when the project's completed and be
Yeah.
within the federal regs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there any new business? New business?
Mr. Chairman, I got one more. So, question here. Dilemma we had with a aircraft that's parked on the ramp out there. And we had talked about, with the owner, when the project comes up, what's he going to do with that aircraft? And I have not got an answer. And then also I asked him about, when we have winter, we might want to reposition that aircraft if he's not going to use it in an area that's kind of not in the middle of the, where it's
Wide open
park-
ramp.
Yeah, it's a hazard, for backing up, trying to plow snow, not run into the ding thing and stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure just what to do with that.
Well, we've got plenty of spots at Three Forks right now.
I think he was down at Three
He was.
Forks. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, he's gonna have to move it somewhere.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, like,
don't-
what
I
do
don't
you
think
do
we
if
can have
people
it
don't
on
move
the
their
ramp at
airplane?
all.
So if we're looking at, April, a month away or whatever, I guess I'll tell him he needs to move
Hook
it.
it to the tow truck and just pull it out.
So, for the board, I would recommend that you implement a long-term tie-down fee. If you, it can become a problem, especially as hangar spots they just fill up the ramp, and then sometimes they are just using them for storage. Sometimes they're not airworthy. Livingston had a jet that was broken down, and this was probably a $30 million jet, and sat in the middle of their ramp for months. And I mean, you get a jet that sits there that's got a 80-foot wingspan in the middle of their ramp, and it really caused congestion, and they had it sitting there for months. So I mean, having a long-term tie-down fee, I know you're not trying to charge fees. That wouldn't really be the intent. It's just to try and keep people from keeping their aircraft sitting out on the ramp. And the ramp's expensive. I mean, it's more expensive per square foot than leasing your hangar sites out. So having a monthly long-term tie-down fee, if they're going to be tied down longer than a month or whatever you guys might determine, you probably should consider that and then just post it.
Do we maybe want to send him, do we have contact? Just a phone or, like maybe the board needs to send him a letter and just say, hey, like the project is going to be starting in 2 months.
Yeah, we can send him this and, a letter suggesting that he move his aircraft, an appropriate amount of time prior to the beginning of construction. Otherwise, we'll move it for him.
But I think you need to do it well before, because if they're going to start early, like, we don't want to delay because some guy's not going to move his aircraft.
I was thinking right away,
Yeah.
when these go out.
Or just give him till, 30-day notice and say then you're going to get a fee or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
A fee, and you're probably going to have to move it, which isn't, different than what the cities have to do. If they're going to chip seal a street, they'll go down the street and advertise and post on any vehicles that your vehicle has to move. And if you don't move your vehicle, they tow your vehicle.
You impound it.
So, I mean, they have to be able to repair the street,
Do
shut
you
down the
have contact
streets,
with him,
chip
Dwight?
seal, etc.
Well, he
So,
hasn't answered his phone. He knows what I'm calling him about, because I asked him to move it before the snow flooded.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you to please contact him and tell him if it's impounded, he probably will not like the outcome of that. It's got to be moved, it cannot stay on that ramp during the construction period.
Well, if he knows your phone number, one of the board members knows.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
Yeah, I'll
necessarily.
try, I'll get back to you guys if I can help here.
Okay,
Sure.
Aubrey,
Does
would
any-
you put an item on the agenda for next month to look at the long-term tie-down fee?
Yes.
Thank you.
You might consider certified mail too,
Yeah.
rather than just phone calls. At least you'd have some tracking that you sent those out between now and the next month.
Yeah, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and let Dwight try and touch bases with him. If not, give us a call, give me a call and I'll get a hold of the rest of the board.
I could sit on the phone call with you too, Dwight. If you had two people on the phone, then you have.
Probably smart.
I'm just thinking long term that if we wait till the next meeting, we're into March, and if he doesn't respond, then we can't necessarily give him a 30-day notice as
No.
well because the project's going to be starting. I think that's something that we need to decide tonight on
I'll give him a call tomorrow.
if you could call him, and if not, then I think we need to write up a letter.
Probably available as long as all my employees show up.
We'll get it done.
to
Okay,
act before
if you don't feel confident that he's gonna pick this up next week when the weather's warm and take it to Three Forks or whatever, please get a hold of us. We'll have that letter generated. Okay, if there's no other new business?
I do, Mr. Chairman, I do. Can we go back up to your claims and financial
Oh.
report?
Okay,
So in your cash account, you have $69,488.08. $69,488.08. In your CIP account, you have $495,568.74.
please repeat that again.
$495,568.74. And I have
Okay.
one claim when you're ready.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so there's a claim for, Dwight made some keys for, $796, correct?
Right in here.
Keys? Did you make some?
Oh,
keys?
yeah, Adam wanted a set of keys for the go faster.
Okay. That's all I have.
Is there a motion on the claim?
I'll move to approve the claim.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve the claim for the 4 keys for the Fuel Master. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, if there are no other new business, I would accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you.